Over 650,000 people left the UK in just 1 year. That number is still rising. It's not just young people chasing adventure or retirees looking for sunshine. Families, professionals, even longtime citizens are quietly packing up and moving out. But why? What's pushing millions to leave behind everything they've ever known? Is it really just about high prices and bad weather? Or is there something deeper going on beneath the surface? From broken promises to silent frustrations, there's a storm brewing, and most people don't even see it coming. In this video, we're digging into the real reasons some you might expect, but others that will genuinely surprise you. And trust me, reason number 3. It's something almost no one talks about, but it's affecting more people than you think. So if you've ever wondered whether life outside the UK might be better, you're not alone. Let's find out why. Number 10. Future uncertainty. Economic and climate concerns. It's no secret the future in the UK feels more uncertain than ever. Between an unstable economy, rising inflation, and growing concerns about climate change, many people are starting to ask themselves one serious question: is this the kind of place I want to build my future? Let's start with the economic outlook. The Bank of England has warned that economic recovery will be slow and uneven, and for many, that's already being felt. Groceries cost more, energy bills are unpredictable, and wages, they're just not keeping up. With job markets shifting rapidly, especially with AI and automation entering the workforce, many Brits are realizing that staying might mean falling behind. And then there's the climate crisis. The UK has seen increasing floods, storms, and extreme temperatures in recent years. It's not just about inconvenience anymore. It's about safety, sustainability, and stability. When you compare that to countries investing heavily in climate resilience and green infrastructure, the appeal of relocating becomes very real. Add to that the mental toll of living in a society that feels like it's constantly reacting to crisis after crisis, and you've got a population quietly preparing for something big. For many, moving abroad isn't just about escaping the now, it's about protecting the future, seeking countries with stronger long-term prospects, lower climate risk, and economies that are adapting more quickly. What do you think? Would future uncertainty ever push you to leave your home country? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We love hearing your perspectives. And if you're into big picture breakdowns like this, make sure to subscribe for more thought-provoking content every week. Number 9. Retirement planning and cost-efficient living for decades. Retiring in the UK meant settling down in a quiet countryside or seaside town, maybe even downsizing to stretch your pension a bit further. But today, more and more Brits are asking a new question. What if I could retire better? Somewhere else. The rising cost of living in the UK has made retirement here feel less secure. From soaring utility bills to inflated property prices and healthcare expenses, many pensioners are finding that their money simply doesn't go as far as it used to. And with the state pension among the lowest in Western Europe, the pressure is growing. That's why thousands are now looking beyond the UK's borders towards countries like Portugal, Spain, Greece, and even parts of Eastern Europe, where the cost of living is significantly lower, but the quality of life remains high. Imagine waking up in a small coastal town where fresh produce is affordable. Rent is half the price, and the weather doesn't force you to blast the heating all winter. It's not just about saving money, it's about living better. These destinations often offer expat-friendly communities, access to public healthcare systems, and a slower, more relaxed pace of life that many retirees dream of. And let's not forget the emotional benefit. Many retirees abroad report feeling less isolated, more active, and more fulfilled. Whether it's joining a local walking group or enjoying cafe culture in a sunlit plaza, the lifestyle shift is real and powerful. So for many, retirement abroad is no longer a luxury or fantasy. It's a practical decision, a way to stretch their pension, protect their health, and finally enjoy the kind of peaceful, meaningful life they worked so hard to build. Number 8. Declining sense of community and belonging. One of the most powerful yet overlooked reasons people are leaving the UK is something that's hard to measure but deeply felt. The loss of connection. The sense of community that once bound neighborhoods together is slowly fading. Many are starting to feel like strangers in their own streets. It's not just nostalgia. Surveys show a sharp decline in social trust and neighborly interactions across the UK over the past decade. People are more isolated, more stressed, and less likely to engage in community events or even know who lives next door. Add to that the rise in remote work, economic stress, and digital distraction. And it's no surprise many feel disconnected, even in crowded cities. For some, it's become more than just an occasional loneliness. It's a persistent feeling of not belonging. Many cite the culture becoming increasingly individualistic and fast-paced, where daily life feels more about survival than shared experience. This is pushing thousands to seek something different abroad. Countries where people still eat together, greet neighbors by name, and support each other in small but meaningful ways. Whether it's joining a local market day in Portugal, participating in community festivals in Spain, or simply having a slower rhythm of life in Italy or Greece, many say they finally feel seen, valued, and part of something again. In short, it's not just about escaping problems. It's about returning to something we've lost: a sense of human connection, warmth, and belonging. And for a growing number of people, that's worth far more than any paycheck or postcode. Number 7. Education alternatives for families. For many UK families, education has become a growing concern, a major reason to consider life abroad. Rising class sizes, increased pressure on teachers, over-testing, and cuts to school funding have led parents to question whether the current system truly supports their child's development. The dream of a well-rounded, affordable, future-focused education feels increasingly out of reach. That's why more families are exploring alternatives in countries where education is not only more affordable, but often more holistic. Places like Finland, the Netherlands, Portugal are gaining popularity for their child-centered approaches, which emphasize creativity, emotional well-being, and real-world learning over rigid exam structures. In many of these countries, public education is free or low-cost, even for foreigners, and private options are often far less expensive than UK private schools. More importantly, the school environments often prioritize happiness and curiosity alongside academics, creating a more balanced experience for students. Parents also value the multicultural exposure their children gain abroad, especially in international or bilingual schools. Learning in diverse classrooms and engaging with global perspectives from a young age is something many UK-based schools struggle to provide. And it's not just about the kids. Parents report lower levels of stress, more flexible school systems, and better work-life balance in places where education is treated as a community priority, not a competitive race. So for many families, leaving the UK isn't about abandoning home, it's about choosing a future that feels more supportive, it's more balanced, and more in tune with what they want for their children. When your child's education is at stake, exploring what the world has to offer suddenly feels a lot less risky and a lot more necessary. Number 6. Weather. Mental health and seasonal depression. It might sound superficial at first, complaining about the weather, but for millions in the UK, the gray skies and endless drizzle are more than just annoying. They're having a serious impact on mental health. Seasonal affective disorder, SAD, a type of depression linked to the lack of sunlight, affects an estimated 2 million people in the UK alone, and many more experience milder symptoms without even realizing it. Short daylight hours, especially in winter, can lead to fatigue, low mood, irritability, and even difficulty concentrating. Over time, it can feel like life is on pause for half the year. For people already juggling work, financial stress, and family responsibilities, this kind of environmental pressure becomes a silent burden that builds slowly but steadily. That's why a growing number of people are looking to escape the gloom for sunnier, more balanced climates. Southern Europe, for example, offers not only better weather, but a slower pace of life and stronger emphasis on outdoor living. Both proven to support better mental health. Countries like Spain, Portugal, Italy, and Greece have become havens for Brits seeking sunshine, fresh air, and an overall boost in well-being. The simple joy of waking up to blue skies, walking in natural light, or having a coffee outdoors in January makes a powerful difference over time. It's not just about comfort, it's about quality of life. People are beginning to realize that. Mental health isn't a luxury, and that where you live plays a much bigger role in your happiness than we've been taught to believe. In the end, many aren't moving just to find better weather, they're moving to feel more alive. Number 5, remote work and location freedom. A decade ago, the idea of working full-time from a beach in Spain or a quiet village in Italy felt like a fantasy. But today, it's a reality for millions, and it's changing everything. The rise of remote work, accelerated by the pandemic, has completely redefined what home means for modern professionals. And for many in the UK, it's opened the door to a life they never thought possible. With high-speed internet, flexible work, policies, and global job opportunities, people are no longer tied to a physical office in London, Manchester, or Birmingham. If your work can travel with you, why not live somewhere cheaper, warmer, and more fulfilling? Remote workers are discovering they can earn a UK-level salary while enjoying a much lower cost of living in countries like Portugal, Croatia, or even parts of Latin America and Southeast Asia. Imagine cutting your rent in half, paying less for food and utilities, and still having money left over to enjoy life without sacrificing your career. But it's not just about money, it's about freedom. Freedom from crowded commutes, gray office blocks, and the grind of UK city life. Remote workers are seeking places with cleaner air, outdoor spaces, better weather, and a slower, more human pace of living. Governments around the world are catching on to, offering digital nomad visas and tax incentives to attract remote professionals. What once seemed risky is now a well-supported path to a better work-life balance. This shift is one of the biggest social changes of the last decade. And for many Brits, it's the final push to take that leap to leave the UK not out of frustration, but because the world finally gave them the green light to choose something better. Number 4, NHS strain and healthcare concerns. The NHS has long been a symbol of pride for the UK, but in recent years, cracks have become impossible to ignore. For many, the idea of reliable free healthcare is starting to feel like a promise that can no longer be kept. And that growing uncertainty is pushing people to seek stability elsewhere. Long waiting times for appointments, overcrowded A&E departments, and record backlogs for surgeries have left patients feeling anxious and neglected. In some areas, people are waiting weeks just to see a GP and even longer for specialist care. Healthcare workers are burnt out, underpaid, and leaving the profession in alarming numbers. The system isn't just strained, it's stretched to its limit. For those with chronic conditions, elderly family members, or children, this level of unpredictability is more than frustrating, it's frightening. Many fear that if something serious happens, help simply won't come fast enough. And that's not a fear people want to live with. That's why increasing numbers of Brits are moving to countries where healthcare systems are more accessible and responsive. Nations like France, Germany, Spain, and Portugal offer high quality public healthcare, often with shorter wait times and better patient outcomes. Even private healthcare abroad can be surprisingly affordable compared to the rising costs in the UK. It's not that people want to leave the NHS behind. It's that they feel they have no choice. When access to healthcare becomes a gamble, many start looking for places where they can feel safer, supported, and secure. At the heart of it, this isn't about politics, it's about peace of mind. And for a growing number of UK residents, finding that peace means looking beyond their own borders. Number 3, political instability and post-Brexit fallout for many people in the UK. It's not just policies or party lines that are causing frustration. It's the feeling of constant instability. Over the past decade, political trust has eroded. Leadership has changed hands repeatedly, and major national decisions have left the country divided. At the heart of it all sits one of the most defining and still controversial events in recent UK history, BR Exit. When the UK voted to leave the European Union, it set off a chain reaction that continues to affect everything from the economy to travel, trade, and individual freedoms. Many citizens who once had the right to live, work, move freely across 27 countries, now face visa restrictions, job limitations, and legal red tape. What once felt open now feels closed in for some. That's reason enough to leave. Beyond Brexit, political turmoil at home has added fuel to the fire. Frequent leadership changes, inconsistent policies, and growing public disillusionment with the government have made the future feel uncertain. People are tired of promises that never materialize, and have seen basic systems like healthcare, education, and housing treated as political footballs rather than priorities. This growing discontent is especially strong among young professionals, dual nationals, and those with EU ties who now feel like their opportunities have been cut short. Some have already relocated to EU countries, reclaiming stability, access, and rights they feel were taken away. It's not always about disagreement, it's about disconnection, and people no longer feel represented, secure, or hopeful in their country's direction. They start to imagine life elsewhere. For many, the search for a calmer, more predictable political climate is leading them far beyond UK borders towards countries that feel more united, stable, and forward-looking. Number 2. Housing crisis and generational wealth gap. On a home used to be a cornerstone of the British dream. But for an entire generation today, that dream feels more like a myth. The UK's housing crisis is one of the most urgent and personal reasons why so many are choosing to leave. Property prices have soared well beyond the reach of average earners, especially in major cities. In places like London, the average house now costs more than 10 times the average salary, and even smaller towns aren't much better. Renters aren't spared either, with monthly costs eating up large chunks of income, leaving little room for savings or long-term planning. This is hitting younger generations the hardest. Millennials and Gen Z are finding themselves trapped in a cycle of renting, unable to save for a deposit, all while watching wealth concentrate in the hands of older property owners. It's created a growing generational wealth gap, where success is increasingly determined by inheritance, not effort. Social housing has declined, mortgage rates have risen, and even affordable housing schemes often come with strings attached or hidden costs. The result? Sense of hopelessness. For many, the idea of owning a home in the UK feels completely out of reach. Even after years of working hard and playing by the rules, that's why some are looking abroad for alternatives. In countries like Spain, Portugal, and parts of Eastern Europe, property is still affordable, and cost of living allows people to save and invest in ways that feel impossible in the UK. It's not just about cheaper homes, it's about reclaiming a sense of progress. The housing crisis isn't pushing people abroad because they want luxury. It's pushing them because they want basic security and a fair shot at building a future. Number 1. Rising cost of living versus quality of life. The UK is facing one of the most intense cost of living crises in recent history, and for many, it's reshaping how they view their future. Prices are climbing faster than wages in every day. Essentials like food, energy, transport, and rent have become shockingly expensive. What used to be considered a comfortable middle-class lifestyle now feels out of reach for millions. People are working harder, for longer hours, just to cover the basics. Families are cutting back on groceries, skipping holidays, and delaying milestones like buying a home or starting a family, not out of choice, but necessity. The squeeze isn't just financial, it's emotional. For many, the question is, no longer can I afford to live well in the UK, but can I afford to live here at all? What makes this harder to accept is the growing gap between cost and quality. Despite paying more, people often feel like they're getting less in return. From crumbling infrastructure to long NHS wait times and limited public services, it's not just about price tags, it's about value. The UK is starting to feel like a place where you pay a premium just to stay afloat. This has led thousands to rethink everything. In countries across Europe and beyond, the cost of living is lower, but the quality of life is higher. Cleaner air, affordable healthcare, accessible education, safer streets, and a better work-life balance, all without draining your bank account. For many, it's not about chasing luxury. It's about finding balance, peace, and dignity. Ability to live without constant financial pressure. And as the crisis deepens at home, more and more people are realizing that the UK is no longer the only option. There are better alternatives, and they're not just for the rich, so, as millions quietly pack their bags and set their sights on a better life elsewhere, one thing becomes clear: this isn't just a trend. It's a reflection of a growing desire for stability, opportunity, and a life that actually feels livable. Whether it's sunshine, savings, or simply peace of mind, people are choosing what works for them. What about you? Would you consider leaving the UK if the right opportunity came along? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.